Can you tell by my walk? Can you hear it in my talk? I'm barely cool. I'm barely cool. Can't you see in my eyes? It should come as no surprise. I'm barely cool. I'm barely cool. I'm barely cool. The barely cool. No, the barely cool. The barely cool. Yeah, the barely cool. The barely cool. No, the barely cool. Yeah.
I like this pillow.
I was just about to say,
It's
you look
cozy.
You look kind of tucked in there.
Yeah, it's one of those pillows that squishes and stays squished. Yeah. Welcome back to the Barely Cool Podcast. Hope you can see me on this camera. I think I got the angle right. It's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day from your Barely Cool gentleman.
Valentine's Day today.
Yeah, today
while
we're recording this.
Tomorrow, or the day it comes out, will
You're
be the
right.
day
I always
after
forget
Valentine's Day.
that this isn't live.
How was everybody's Valentine's Day?
We got some roses here.
Day
for
of
you,
love.
for you, the listener. It's for you. Come grab a rose.
Take one. Just one, because we need enough
Yeah,
for
we need
everybody.
enough for everybody.
All 12 listeners. I'm assuming it's a dozen.
It is a dozen.
Yeah,
It is a dozen. Yeah. I got 2 days ago.
Everybody,
Had to ask niece to be my Valentine.
of course.
Yep, gotta.
I made a little card for Maddie.
Nice,
We
cute.
celebrated yesterday.
Nice.
Because of all the frick I gotta do today.
Yeah.
Can't talk about it.
Can't talk about it.
Secrets.
We celebrate. We're celebrating next week when we're away in Ottawa
Nice.
or in Quebec. Sorry.
Yeah, to do your little spa.
A little spa.
Spa.
Yeah.
Guys, are you stoked about Valentine's Day? Was Valentine's Day good for you? Did you fall prey to the corporate sham of having to buy a card from Hallmark? What are you, whipped or something?
I'm not just gonna be one of those dudes who buys stuff on one day, man. I'm gonna be it all year.
Exactly.
Yeah, I show her affection all
I
year.
celebrate
I did the dishes
my,
2 months ago.
I celebrate my lady every day of the GD.
Yeah, dude.
In fact,
I don't know when my kid's birthday is, but I mean, I took him to the park 2 months ago.
I got her a sweater like a month or two ago. Yeah, sure, it was for Christmas.
Yeah.
But
I'm a good dad.
I could have
and a good
sworn
husband.
pink was her favorite color.
I'm good all year.
Look, a heart pendant necklace.
Yeah. I do foreplay for 5 minutes.
That's all you need. That's a lot.
That's it. That's a lot of
That's
foreplay.
a lot.
That's a huge amount.
You're getting tired.
I know. I can't wait for more than 5 minutes. Dear God.
Well, because then you add the foreplay into the actual act, and
Yeah.
you're looking at like 7 minutes total.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time.
That is a huge amount. 7 minutes?
I'm busy.
7 minutes? That's like a record for me.
Yeah.
Dear Lord.
Yeah.
7 minutes. Wouldn't you just get bored more than that?
I can.
Yeah, say it.
No.
You can what?
I was gonna say 7 minutes. I mean, how can you even stay hard that long? You gotta pop a pill or something.
Gotta pop a pilly. Welcome back to the Barely Cool Podcast. It's Valentine, it was Valentine's Day yesterday. When we're recording this, it is Valentine's Day, and we're here. We're having fun.
Joking about disappointing our wives.
Yeah, we're
In the
actually good
bedroom.
husbands. I do 6 minutes of foreplay. More than 5.
Yeah, that is more.
Yeah.
That is more.
And I don't last for just 2 minutes.
No. Probably
Like 3.5 on a good day.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a good husband. We don't even have sex. Because I don't. It's just. I just want to.
Do the dishes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And hear about how her day was.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I want to do.
Yeah.
Just the dishes and hear stuff.
Let me vacuum.
Yeah. Put your feet up.
Yeah. Sex is gross.
Sex is kind of gross. You know what though? Like, really for real though? Like, outside of the fact that it's like a fun experience for people, sex is kind of gross. Like it's pretty weird.
Like, okay, yeah. Bit aside, let me tell you. Obviously, it's awesome.
Oh yeah, I love it.
I
Don't
love
get me
having
wrong.
sex with my wife.
Yes.
But the concept
Yeah. It's
like
so odd.
It's gross.
Yeah.
You remove the rest of the body, remove like emotional connection, love, that spiritual bonding between you and another person, and you just look at the objects, the items. Yeah. That's looking pretty weird rolling down a conveyor belt.
It is. Yeah.
You roll those two things down the old conveyor belt at the grocery store to get scanned. Just one penis and one vagina.
Yeah, that's a weird looking couple items.
What's going on here?
People are doing some weird stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, sex is kind of gross.
It's weird.
But
like
I'm all for it.
Medically.
Yes, anatomically, we're looking at a weird situation.
It's funny.
It is funny
to be like, yeah, so. Like the guy, you're going to get aroused, and the act of that is your sponge penis gets filled up with blood. What the heck?
Yeah, it is very odd.
Health class is funny.
You just have this thing hanging off you that fills with blood. It's got the perfect amount of tissue for it.
Yeah. Well, maybe not perfect.
Maybe a couple more inches. Yeah,
I could use a little more tissue.
Yeah. How many inches of tissue do you have?
Not nearly enough. Not nearly enough.
Inches of tissue. That's a new way to ask.
I've never.
What's your penis size? Approximately how many inches of spongiosis tissue or whatever it's called, spongy tissue, do you have?
Let's just say I've never once looked down and gone, that's the perfect amount of tissue. That's. I love talking about your penis, but not when we're just me and you. I love talking about your penis when your wife is present because it's so good, man. Yeah, she really does make it seem like I'm struggling.
Yeah, she makes it seem like you have the smallest penis in the whole world.
It's very
For those
funny.
of you who've never heard, I don't know if we've ever talked about it on a cast
Probably
with her
not.
present, but she'll just go like, no, like guys, it's the perfect size. Like I'm serious. Like
I
it's
wouldn't
perfect.
want it to be any bigger.
And it's just the way. And then she just digs herself into a hole.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. I love it. I love it. At your expense, but dear Lord, I love it.
It's funny. It is funny. Like she doesn't even realize.
No, I don't think she means to do it. Like it's not a bit.
She doesn't realize the connotations of that. Yeah. But it's funny.
It is funny. I love it.
I go home and I scream into the mirror and I punch it until it shatters glass over my hands. It's funny. We have fun.
My mom gave me a spoon in my craft dinner last week, so I punched a hole in the drywall.
Well, yeah.
And I said, "Flip it."
What did she? Why would
give me a fork?
What is she, stupid?
Yeah, I know.
What are we doing?
Do you know, I had an actual altercation with my mom over that when I was like 13.
Did you hit her?
No. She handed me craft dinner that she had made me, and there was a spoon in it. And I like very meanly said back, I asked for a fork.
Oh no.
And she lost it on me. And then I went downstairs because I was pissed, and my dad stopped me and right in that door over there turned me around and threw me into it and got like right up in my face. It was a scary moment. One of the most terrifying moments of my life.
Because you disrespected your mother.
I disrespected my mother.
Yeah. Don't want to do that.
Don't ask for I asked for a fork, Mom. But I mean spoon's fine, I guess.
I love that when you're like 13, right? You're a 13-year-old boy just flipping, raging with hormones and anger, and just like you're upset at your body and the world. And like, because fair. You asked for a fork.
Yeah.
But that is kind of disrespectful.
Yeah.
Especially if
to say that back to my mom, yeah.
Especially if...
And I didn't say it nicely.
That's the thing. It's the tone. Like if someone's like, here you go, and you're like, oh, sorry, I thought I asked for a fork. Can I get a fork? Like, that's fine. It's still a little bit like... Yeah. But to be like, I asked for a fork.
Yeah, straight up to her face.
And then, but it's funny too that like you left that altercation angry. Like you were like,
get it. Yeah, we're getting pissed at me. I just wanted a fork.
Yeah, you're pissed off.
I'm all disrespectful to her.
Yeah,
and then you're trying to like it.
You're trying to storm off to be like, why is everyone picking on me? Like,
I just want a fork, man.
A fork.
I'm not in the wrong here.
Yeah. Oh, well, couldn't be.
You can't be in the wrong when you're 13.
You couldn't just go get the fork.
Imagine how much funnier that would have been just to pull the spoon out of the dirty spoon out of the craft dinner, huck it into the sink, and just grab a fork. Thank you. Walk away.
She goes, "What's that about?"
I asked for a fork. I asked for it.
Didn't get it, so I thought,
nah, I'll just get it myself.
maybe I have to take matters into my own hands, I guess.
No one really seems to want to do anything for me in this house.
I love that. That's so funny.
I don't miss being 13, guys. I don't miss it.
It's not.
I don't
well,
miss
that's
it.
the thing is like you don't get a pass because that's not how people are supposed to act.
No.
Because if you give a pass to that, it reinforces negative behavior.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the same time, you do kind of get a pass after the fact.
Yeah.
In the sense that like your parents are going,
oh, poor kid.
we got to get through this phase.
Yeah.
Like he just needs to.
He's just pissed all the time.
Yeah, he's just upset. His voice is cracking. And he's just
a little pissy boy.
He's confused.
Yeah, I don't miss 13. I don't miss 14, 15, 16, or 17 either.
No.
I don't really miss 18
Like,
that much.
High school, like I had fun in high school.
Yeah.
I would never.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, but there were definitely moments where I was like I can look back at a lot of moments of me just riddled with confusion and hormones, just going,
yeah, what is going
what
on
the
here?
heck?
Yeah.
Why doesn't anybody like me?
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you. But, yeah. I don't understand people who want to go back to high school. I don't get it.
No, dude. It's insane.
There's people in my life, like adults, like 50-year-old adults, who at like parties, I won't say who, will talk about like, oh man, I wish I could go back to high school. And I'm like, you're 50.
I don't even.
That was
like
30 years ago.
I
plus.
think that I would not. No, I don't want to go back to high school. But there are times where I'm like, I wish I could go back and like maybe not be such a idiot. like there were times where I was like genuinely just like, yeah, either a nerd or alternatively because of my own insecurities like hurt other people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wish I could take that back.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
but I'm not like, gosh, I wish I could just be walking down those halls again.
Yeah. On my way to homeroom.
Yeah.
Fourth period English with Mrs. Schwanatsky. Man,
Yeah, that's
I wonder
insane.
what she's up to. Like, what?
Yeah. You want to go play another game of football?
Yeah. If I could just be the homecoming queen
Like
one more time.
there's no period of my life that I'm like, gosh, I wish I could go back to that.
No, everything's just been getting better.
Yeah.
My life has been on an upward trajectory.
Yeah. And
Not that I haven't had a, divots.
Up and-
It's like
of
a
course.
stock. It's like a stock. Up. Ooh, a little bit down there.
Yeah.
That was a tough time. Ooh, a little down there again, but we're slowly going up over time. 8% gain year over year.
yeah.
But it was a tough year.
Yeah, Judah had
At
a real
times.
economic crisis right after high school, but I mean, we're up.
Economic crisis.
We're up since then.
It was just an economic crisis.
My stock dropped quite heavily.
Almost dropped all the way.
Gosh, that publicly traded stock almost went bankrupt.
Dude was trading for pennies. He was penny stock.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But it's okay.
But if you invested in me then, you're
Yeah,
laughing.
Now you're
Because
up 600%.
I'm a huge asset in
Yeah.
everyone's life around me.
Yeah.
I had never caused anyone strife or pain.
Never caused anyone strife
Not
or pain.
anymore.
Yeah, it's true. Not in a while.
I'm
Except
up.
maybe me. You caused me a little bit of strife and pain.
Sometimes we both cause each other a little bit. I think
strife and pain.
I think it's a.
What kind of strife and pain do I cause you?
I would have preferred to record last night. No, that wasn't anything. I was very content to record on Valentine's Day with my friend. I had nothing going on with the love of my life. Our wives are both working real jobs.
Yeah, I was gonna
What do
say
I
that's their
care?
big girl jobs.
Yeah. We're working our
She's away.
part-time little.
Yeah. I could have been at school today, but I stayed home.
Have you ever? No, I doubt it. You do work enough that this would never be an issue. I was gonna say, you ever have to ask your wife for money?
No.
I've never had to either. But that would be funny. Actually, it wouldn't, because it's like at a certain point you're just finances on your own.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had to ask her for money to buy something, but we've shared money.
Yeah.
Because we make purchases together.
I'm sure you've had to ask permission. for
Yeah, of
certain
course.
items.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not just making purchases behind the old table. Under the table.
I have a tendency to do that, but not like to be like secretive. It's just what happens is I like to think about things. We've talked about this.
Okay.
But like I needed a new electric razor. The one I had, I bought at like Costco, and it's fine, but it takes forever. It's not really for shaving your face. It's more of like a trimmer.
Right.
Just quick, you know. Right. It's the Philips One Blade. Shout out Philips if you want to kick me some cash. So I was looking for something a little bit more hefty, and we were at Costco, and she was like, "Just buy one," and I was like, "I gotta think about it. I gotta do some research, figure out what I want," and then I'd hit a point where I was just like, I was kind of frustrated.
Right.
And I was like, I'm just going to buy one. And it also worked out because I bought her something off of Amazon for Valentine's Day. And I was like, she won't look, but just in case, it'll help to have a couple orders in front of that to kind of bump it down the list. So I was like, I guess now is a good time to buy that razor.
Right.
So I bought the razor. And then the next day she was like, why'd you, like, I always end up making decisions like in the middle of the night. And I don't do it to be like, haha, she'll never know. It's just that's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it seems like you're most active at like 1 a.m.
So I bought what did I buy? I bought an electric razor. And it's almost too good.
Really?
And then I bought a little humidity temperature reader for the apartment, because we never know. Sometimes we wake up, we're like, it's really dry, I think.
Right.
But we don't know.
So now you want to know what the humidity's like.
Yeah.
You got like atmospheric pressure on there too?
I'd have to look. I don't really know. I was looking at it for the humidity because especially when I'm sick, like if I'm clogged up, I'll run a humidifier. But then I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, what am I swimming? Like I'm just is this too much?
Yeah,
like, and I have no metric outside of like just feeling different.
Yeah.
Where my skin, like I'm like, am I clammy because I'm sweaty?
Yeah.
Or is my skin kind of clammy because this humidifiers been running too long?
I hate sweating.
It's gross.
I hate it. Last night I was studying. I was up studying for my midterm today until like 2 a.m. And I was really pissed off. And I'll explain why I was pissed off. But at the end, I like stood up from my chair after like being in there for 4 hours, and like my legs were just wet. And, like my underwear was all wet from like being all pissed.
Yeah.
And sweaty.
Makes your body.
And so I had to go like change my underwear before bed.
Yeah.
And I was like, this sucks. Why am I sweaty? Why was I sweaty? Dude, I was studying. So I had a midterm today, guys. You don't really care. It was in stats. It was math stuff, whatever. I swear to God that on this practice midterm I was doing, the answers were inputted incorrectly. Like, because I would do my whole thing. Yeah. I would get the answer, and then it would go, you're incorrect. This is the answer. Miles from my answer. And I'm like, it's not a rounding error.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how? And so I'll redo it. There was questions. I redid stuff 6 times.
Yeah.
So carefully. Same answer every time. Nothing was different.
And you're
I'm
like Googling the formulas.
Yeah, I'm making sure I'm perfect here. And it's just like, nope, this is the answer. And I'm like, that could not possibly be the answer. And that happened on multiple questions. Right. So the whole night I'm sitting there like sweating. At one point, I literally to my computer and like 1:30, I went, you guys are morons to the professors. I'm sorry, professors. But I was like, it was awful.
You're like
I did the max face, you know?
Yeah.
Because niece is asleep in the room next to me, so I can't scream loud. So I did the class like, I was just so pissed off that these questions were wrong. They should have been right.
That's the thing. That's why. Because everything, you're so careful.
Yeah.
Everything in you, because you're like, no.
Yeah.
No. Like, you're like, I'm right. I know I am. But then there's that part of you in the back of your mind that's like, am I going to like bomb this test? Like, am I? Yeah. I'm doing everything right.
Yeah.
Like, did they just frick up the answers or like
or
what's
did
going
I miss? On? Like at one point there was a question it gave you like a grouped data set, so like like 7 to 9, 10 to 12,
Right.
And it was like, is this a flawed data set? And basically they were asking, are all of the frequencies the same? Is there any gaps and is there any overlap? So it's like, is it go from like 10 to 13 and then 13 to 15? That's overlap. So I was like, okay, I can do that. And there was like, and bro, I did this question, different variations of this question, like 4 times, and I got them wrong every single time because, and I think that it was put in wrong because there was one, I sat there staring at it. It went 7 to 9, and then the next bin was 11 to 13. So it skipped 10. And I said, this is flawed. It skipped 10. There's no 10 data point. And then it went, nope, it's not flawed. It's right. And I went, and that happened like 9 times. And I'm like, this is flawed. So I sat there staring at it going, no, I am right. But this thing is telling me I'm wrong.
You're looking at like all the other answers and you're like, this one is fine. I think this one's not, like, and you're just like, how?
I'm like, it was impossible for me to gauge how much I actually knew. Because I'm like, because I'm going over it. I went back to the slides to the where they actually taught it. I went back to the lecture where they taught it. And I was like, this is what they're asking for.
Yeah. That's fun. When you it says you get something wrong and you're like, but why?
Yeah.
Like if that is fine, why? Because everything we learned is that that's not.
Yeah, you need to explain to me how this is wrong.
That's really funny.
I was prepared where on the actual midterm, I'm like, if they hit me with a question like this, like the same, like identical, I'm going to assume they have the answers inputted wrong. So I'm like, if I get this question wrong, I'm like emailing the professor being like, you need to explain to me right now why this is wrong.
Yeah.
Because it should not be wrong.
So you were all sweaty.
I was all sweaty because of this. Because I kept going.
You know what makes me sweat?
Calling them morons. Yeah.
Like, well, stress, obviously. And that plus caffeine, I get so grossly sweaty. I don't, like, and I'm...
Caffeine plus what?
Like stress.
Yeah.
But I don't, like, the thing is like stress to me, like I have like knowable stress where I'm like, I feel it and it's in the moment and I'm like, holy frick, I'm freaking dying. Yeah. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where I'm just like flatlining on stress where I'm just like so overwhelmed that my body just shuts down.
Right.
But then I think there's stress for me that like is affecting me like subconsciously.
Right.
Where I don't feel it and I'm just kind of like, I don't feel actively stressed where I'm just kind of like doing stuff, but there's a lot of stuff to do. And so I'm like, to me, that doesn't feel like stress. It just feels like, okay, this is done. Now what's next? Okay, let's do this. So it's like, it's a little bit more organized, but you pair that with a bit of caffeine and I'm gross.
Yeah.
Like Sunday mornings, I'll get home from like church and I'm like, okay, I'm going to have a nap. And I'm just like,
yeah, I hate that feeling. Where
what?
Like, oh, like, jeez.
I feel like sticky? A little damp in my creases and crevices, and I'm like, why? And like I know that it's a problem. Like I'll have even if it's like on a Sunday morning, if it's 1 cup of coffee, I'm normally fine.
Right.
But I'm never having just 1 cup of coffee.
Yeah, you're always having like 2 or 3, right?
Yeah. Or like 1.5, and even like 1.5 will kind of get me there. Right. Where I'm just like even this morning, I had a big cup of coffee, big mug of coffee, and we do our like staff meetings, and at the end, I'm just kind of like,
yeah,
I just feel
am I good.
Like it's almost like I'm like I just run warm.
Yeah,
and then I'm like is my seat warm?
Oh, I hate that. Yeah.
Did I leave a little wet butt spot?
I hate the thought of that. Are you a nervous pooper?
I
when you get
have
nervous?
been in the past.
Yeah.
Now my body, it depends. Okay, let's get into it. I am a nervous. How do I phrase this? My body thinks it's a nervous pooper.
Okay.
But it's not.
Okay.
So like. What actually, it's really bad actually. What ends up happening is that before something, my body goes, holy frick.
Yeah.
Like tummy's rumbling, going, you got to take a big dump.
Yeah.
And then like when I was in high school and I like was doing a lot of like drama and like plays and theater, before us doing the play for like hours before, I'm like trying to get into character and like focus and whatever, and my stomach's going like, and I'm like, holy frick, okay. So then I go to poop, and it's just like,
nothing. Just
and then
dries up,
and then I'm like,
Killer.
okay, and then I go back to like, I remember we did one. It was like the Sears Drama Festival,
right?
So a bunch of schools get together to showcase their plays.
Yeah.
It's like it's as close as a nerd will get to like an actual event,
right?
You know, like there's districts. There's districts.
Close as a nerd will get to an actual event.
Yeah, like there's the district where all the schools in your district kind of come together.
Right.
Or as many in your region in the district. And then if you do well enough, there's like a judge, like an adjudicator.
Right.
If you do well enough, you can move on to regionals.
Right.
And then like technically
it's like track and field for nerds.
Exactly.
Okay. Nice.
It goes all the way up to nationals, I think, eventually. But like we were doing one, and we were getting the district host school would change every year,
right?
So it's not just one school,
right?
And we were in like I think we were at a school in Barrie, and they basically were just like every school gets their own like classroom to kind of just chill out, because it's after school hours and whatever. And so we're just kind of like chilling in this classroom, being like, the flip are we doing? Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Like, stressing. Everyone's trying to get into character, and like I felt so, my stomach was going, and go to the bathroom, nothing, come back, and then what happens is, I just feel like that all the way up until go time.
Right.
Go time hits. Gone.
Yeah.
Nothing's there.
Yeah.
My body's like, it's time to Rocky Road.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we're done, my body's like, you're gonna poop your pants. Like you gotta pressure's off, go find a bathroom.
Get in there. That's fair.
Maybe a little bit. There's a little bit of leeway. It's normally adrenaline's still pumping after.
Yeah.
But once that adrenaline wears off, my body's like,
all right. We're at Poop Central Station.
Time to go. Go time.
Yeah, everything just seems harder for you with that. Like with vomiting, you can't vom, and then with that, you're like sucking it up.
Yeah.
I'm like,
So part of me really likes it,
right?
Because I never. Like, I've heard stories of, like, comedians who are on stage and that feeling hits.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm going to poop my pants and I've got, like, 20 minutes left in my set.
Right.
Like, what do you do?
Yeah, that's
my
brutal.
body does not allow that to happen.
That doesn't happen to me either, no. Yeah, I'm like you, where once it's go time, it's go time.
Yeah.
But leading up to it sucks.
Yeah.
Like the other day, Monday, 2 days ago, I had a midterm in the morning, but then I had a lab test in the afternoon for anatomy, and the lab test was 15 stations of two like you had to identify two things.
Yeah.
Or like, or it was like a second order question, like what, artery supplies this muscle, and you had a minute and a half at each station. And you guys watched the Blockbuster episode. I suck at lightning rounds. I'm awful at it. I like, if you ask me to recall information really quick under pressure like that, I suck.
Right. Good attribute for a future doctor.
Let me mention this. Not in like, I don't even know how to differentiate it in my brain. I can't explain my brain. You asked me to do it in like a high stress situation at like a hospital. Yeah, I'm fine, and I have been fine before. But in like a lab where you're asking me to like identify it on like a specimen, for some reason I shut down.
Yeah.
And so if I get to a station and I don't know right away, then my brain just goes, all right, start listing every muscle. Right. And you're like,
you start cycling, and you're like,
and then I just struck. So the whole day I was like all nervous and in the library, and my stomach was all rumbly, and I was like, okay, like I'm not really like a gross nervous pooper. I'm just all poop.
Yeah.
But dude, bro, I went to the bathroom and I sat down in the toilet, and I was thinking like, oh, this is gonna be like a kind of maybe a little loose.
Yeah.
Bro, I like went one push, blew up the entire bowl.
Yeah, painted it.
Yeah, and just started like dripping down constantly, and I was like, wow, I'm really nervous about this.
That's awesome.
It was awful.
It was
funny. It hurt. It was burning. But
I get that.
Who knows how well I do.
I do that too. Like similar in like trivia rounds or whatever. Like if I don't immediately know it, my brain goes cycle through knowledge, and I start like my brain goes like okay, for Blockbuster when it's like name movies set in New York, and I go Home Alone, and then my brain's like the next person says Home Alone 2 or whatever, and then my brain, well, Home Alone I think isn't even in New York.
Yeah.
It's just Home Alone 2. Yeah. So then I'm like, my brain goes, say Home Alone again. And my brain's like, no. And then it's like, what's a movie with New York in the title? No, that's not going to help you. Yeah. You can't do that. Okay, movies about New York. Movies where they're in New York studying. Gossip Girl, that's set in New York. That's a show. That doesn't count.
Gossip Girl. Timer goes off. Yep, exactly.
I just start, my brain is just like arguing with itself.
Yeah. Yeah,
and it doesn't work.
And that's exactly what happened to me at the test. And the worst thing was that it wasn't like you had one Godiva and you had to identify like 30 structures. It was like you moved to a station and it was a different, like it was like a severed arm, and then the next one would be like just a vertebral bone. So 15 seconds is like reoriented. Yeah. So you're like, okay, where, like, is this the anterior or the posterior side of the body? So like I do that, and then I remember at one station I sat down and I was like, those are the rhomboids. And so I wrote rhomboids down, and then I had like 50 seconds left, and I was like, nope, those aren't the rhomboids. And I was like, the rhomboids are on the back. Right. And then I'm like, and then suddenly my body goes, yeah, what are those? You don't know. And I was like, no, those are, I thought they were the rhomboids. What's next? Like, what's in front of the rhomboids or whatever? If it's
not that, what is it?
And it was like, and it was like, oh, it's the levator scapulae. Nope, that's on a different area in the body. And then suddenly my brain goes, oh, you should think about where the levator scapulae is. And I go, no, I'm trying to figure out where this other one is. Yeah. And then the time suddenly goes down, and I'm like, all right, well, rhomboids it is. How do
they? Is it just like a next station?
Yeah, so pretty much they have like TVs in the lab. Yeah. And then like it's like a medical lab, so it's just like a bunch of like, I don't know, like big long desks with bodies on them, and it's like you just kind of snake around everything, and they've got like on the TVs they've got like a minute 30 timer with like laps, so it'll go down to 130 and go ding, and then you move to the next station, it immediately starts the next 130, and you just do that for 25 minutes or whatever.
See, you know what my brain would be doing?
What?
I would be cycling through like what you did of going like, okay, it's not that. Oh, is it this? No, that's somewhere else. That other area of the body has this, and you're like, no, I don't need that.
It doesn't matter.
And then I do this. Little glance up. Holy frick.
Yeah. I got 20 seconds left.
Yeah.
Because like sometimes a minute and a half is so long. Yeah. When you get to the thing and you know it right away, you're like, oh, I know that. Yeah. And then you're like, wow, I got a minute 15 left.
Yeah.
I got to sit here and wait. But sometimes you look up and it's like, this has been 10 seconds. How do I have 15 seconds left?
Right. I looked at my quizzes. I was trying to see the quizzes that I've done in my class. I was trying to see like, can I still see the correct answer? Like when the quiz is done, it takes you to an answer page.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know if I could still see the correct or wrong answers as like maybe study material in the future. But it wasn't, for some reason I couldn't. Have to take it up with the professor, I guess.
Yeah, his dad.
But I could see how long they took.
Right.
First quiz I did, I've only done 3 quizzes, but first quiz I did was like a minute 40.
Right, so you read right through that.
10 questions, and I'm like, I know that,
10 questions in a minute 40, yeah, you knew it right away. Didn't have to double check.
Second quiz I did, I actually went in person to the class, and that one I was like, there was a couple that I was like, holy frick, what am I? Like,
which one is this? Yeah.
Is this? And I was just like, what? Like, I don't, I'm trying to like rack my brain and like think, and I'm like, holy frick. And then I looked at it and it was like, yeah, that's 2 minutes 40. Yeah. But it felt way longer.
Yeah.
And then the last quiz I did, I had a similar thing where my brain starts to cycle.
Yeah.
Where I go,
yeah.
The class is on Hebrew prophets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Start thinking about what you know about Hebrew prophets.
Biblical class. Yeah. And so I get to a question. The quizzes are small. They're 10 questions. I get to a question, not that anyone cares, but I get to a question about Jeremiah. And I go, okay. It goes, where was Jeremiah born? Where's Jeremiah from?
Right.
Answers.
I can't even fully remember.
Jerusalem, Israel. Jerusalem, I think Israel, Tekoa, or Anathoth. And I'm like, what the frick?
Yeah.
My first thought goes, no, we didn't learn this. That's my first thought. I'm like, no shot.
When did we go over this?
I'm like, we didn't. There's no way.
Yeah.
I would have remembered that from the textbook. Like, I was like, it's not clicking. Yeah. And so I'm starting to like try and figure it out. but my brain's just cycling where I'm like, try and figure out what? I don't know. Like, there's nothing to figure out.
Yeah,
like, my brain's like, you know, I have multiple potentials in my head where I'm like, well, most of his ministry, he preached in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Like
maybe that's where he was born.
He's from Judah. Yeah. So surely that's where it is.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, but then why would that be a question? That's too obvious.
Yeah.
So he must be from Israel.
Yeah.
But Israel wasn't really a thing anymore. Does it mean the region of Israel, or like, but it didn't exist? So then what are we talking about?
Yeah.
Then I'm like, Tekoa and Anathoth.
Yeah, what are these cities?
Never even heard of these.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel like I maybe heard of Anathoth, but I'm like, maybe Isaiah was from there. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I'm cycling. And then I hit the point where I'm like, it's probably been like 10 minutes. Like, I'm like freaking out.
You got to pick one? Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay. And this was like question 5.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come back.
Yeah.
And so I keep going. Those ones, I'm like, boom, 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 boom. Got it.
Yeah.
I'm back to the question. I'm like, freaking the same
frick.
as where I was. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I just go, Anathoth.
Sounds right.
Sounds familiar. Click it. Boom. That's what it was. Correct.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's go.
Baby, let's flip and go.
But then it was so funny. I was pretty stoked on that. Because I got 100% on the quiz.
Hell
and
yeah.
I was convinced. I was like, there goes my 100% streak,
Right.
because I've been crushing these quizzes. And I was like, there it goes. And like, whatever. And then today I was talking to my dad, who is the professor of this class, and I was just like, yeah, like, even after the quiz, I like tried to find it, but I couldn't find it. And he's like, really? And then he like looked in the textbook and he couldn't find it in like a cursory glance. And so he was just like, I'm just going to mark everyone right. And I was like, what the heck?
So he did it all for nothing.
But
yeah, multiple choice sucks.
It can.
And that's my whole
It really
thing.
can.
Multiple choice. Yeah, I've had to like turn my multiple choice strategy into that, where it's like, if I don't know, because like most of the time I've got like 35 multiple choice questions. I got like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't afford to be spending like 3 minutes on a question.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if I don't know it right away, I will, and if I have no idea, star it, gone.
Yeah.
If I kind of think I know it, I'm getting it down to 50-50.
Yeah.
I'm Xing 2 out and then going, all right, I'll be back
Yeah.
to make this 50-50 decision. That way, if it's like, if I got like 2 minutes left in the test, I can just walk over and go, okay, it is.
Yeah. And what's crazy, so after I looked at how long that test was, that quiz, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I just felt like I was dying. I felt like a trapped animal. I was just like, holy frick, time's running out.
Yeah.
Like, I've got no frame of reference.
I hate times on quiz. That happened to me on my midterm today. I had 20 seconds left in a question, and it required like a long calculation. So I was just like, I looked at the numbers really quick, and I was like, well, that seems like a 75th percentile, and I just clicked that, like, put 17.
Right.
I had no math to back that up, but I had to put something in the box. 17 it is.
Yeah, I
don't think it was right.
I freeze and like, if I know it and I'm cruising, great.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one I was like, I don't like remember that. And sometimes you get like for the most part, the questions, I don't think any of the questions have been unfair, which is great. But I also, like, some people could think this is an advantage. So I personally think it's a bit of a disadvantage in the fact that, like, I know my dad.
Right.
And so then I have that as a layer.
Right.
Where I go, would he put that as the answer?
Yeah,
like, you know, like, would he,
Yeah.
when I'm not 100% sure and I'm like, yeah, but would he do that?
Yeah.
And some people might be like, well, that's an advantage because you can kind of figure out, but I second guess
that's
myself.
a disadvantage, yeah.
Because then
that's why
it stops being about the info and it's like I'm playing poker.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to read him to be like,
yeah.
would he do that?
Yeah, why would...
Like, would he?
Then you're going through it all. Yeah, honestly, I think that's a disadvantage. I don't like knowing professors because it's like, because then I do that exact thing where I go, is this the professor who like likes to trick me?
He does,
and I'm
like, a little bit
is
of
this a big tricksy question, or or is he just being straightforward?
Like, we
here?
had the one,
Yeah.
so here's a fun little history thing. Not even history, it's like kind of a word thing. But we had this whole thing where he talked about justice and righteousness. It's this phrase that always comes up in the Bible. And he's like, this is a hendiatus. A hendiatus is 2 words when put together basically mean one thing.
Right.
Fun little, he literally said this is a fun little thing.
Right.
Then later, one of the questions was, which of these is like a common theme? And one of the answers, like, I was like, okay, it was either what is a common theme or what isn't.
Right.
It was what isn't. And I'm like, this one like kind of is, but then I get down to hendiatus and I go, okay, is he saying hendiatus like just the word hendiatus, which I know means two words put together?
Yeah.
Or is he going, the hendiatus we talked about, justice and righteousness, and he's just not writing, he's going, that hendiatus that we talked about.
Right.
So I'm sitting there going, what would he do?
Yeah. Which one
Like,
makes
I'm
sense in my father's brain?
Hendiatus does not mean justice and righteousness, but the only time it came up in class was to talk about justice and righteousness.
Yeah.
And justice and righteousness, I don't think was one of the other answers.
Right.
So then I'm like, is that there to
Yeah,
mean that?
is that what he means?
Or-
yeah,
or-
that's brutal.
So then I went, no,
That's
that
mind-boggling.
would not be fair of an
Yeah.
answer to be hendiatus is right.
Yeah.
So I put hendiatus as the only one that's not a theme, and then I talked to him after when he was correct, and so I was like, you wouldn't do that, would you? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah,
and he
that's
was-
just mean.
and
Yeah.
he was like, no, and I was like, okay, but yeah, you start having to do like mind games with your professors to be
Yeah.
like, would
Yeah.
they?
Is he a tricksy?
Yeah.
Is he a tricksy professor or is he not a tricksy
Like
professor?
my class last semester was like, it was not tricksy, but it was
Tricksy and false.
some of it was like irrelevant.
False.
Tricksy habits.
I was like, some of the questions I was just like, dude, who cares?
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
It doesn't
yeah.
matter.
Yeah. I've actually, so far, like of the 5 midterms that I've written this week, I've been pleasantly happy with all of the
That's good.
questions.
That's
It's
great.
been like, these are all fair. These
Yeah.
are all, I didn't know some of them, but
Yeah.
they were all fair.
Well, and like, yeah, whether you care about stats, it's like,
Yeah.
It's
I'm
still-
going to give a flippin' rim from those stats.
yeah.
I just cared about anatomy. My anatomy teacher was fair, except I feel like I embarrassed myself in front of my anatomy professor because
Nice.
in the lab test, I got to the station that was like right in front of where she was standing,
Right.
and I didn't know it, and I started going like
Yeah,
smacking
think
my
about
head,
it,
like,
yep.
oh, you know this. Because I was like, I was like, you know what flipping muscle this is? And she's
Yeah.
like standing there right next to it. I'm like, I didn't notice till after. I was like, she's probably watching me go like, what is this guy
Yeah.
doing?
She's like, let me check out his grades after this.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be in this class.
I couldn't flipping remember for the life of me
That's
what I was
so
staring
funny.
at. The annoying thing is that part of the specimens, you look at their cats, right? Because the musculoskeletal system of cats is like pretty almost identical
Right.
to humans, but they're old cats, so they're all dried out and like stringy.
Yeah.
So like there's like a pin in one of the muscles, and I'm like, what part of the body even is this?
Right.
I was like, what are we staring
Yeah,
at?
what
right now?
is this?
I was like, this is just a mesh of like strings. Like most of the muscles have the fibers are like
Dried
yeah,
up.
they're dried away. So I'm like, what am I even looking at?
That sucks.
And so I was in front of her too, and I was just like,
Yeah, what is this?
Yeah.
See, and that's hard. Like, I don't mind a multiple choice because at a certain point you're like, you've got 4 options.
Yeah.
So even if you're guessing, you're
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, the odds
get
aren't
a 25%
awful.
chance,
But
yeah.
yeah, when you get to something like that, which is just like, what is
yeah,
it?
if you don't know, you don't know. yeah.
I had that in at OCAD where I feel like I got screwed because, well, no, part of it was on me. I missed an email basically
Right.
from my TA
I hate that.
where we would do like our history, it was art history lectures, and then we would also have like an in-person lab with a TA to kind of talk about what we've
Yeah.
been learning and make sure it's all in there. And coming up to the midterm, the TA spent so much time like in person. They would I don't know why they would do this, but they would like show us a painting or something
Right.
and be like, can everyone identify the period that this was painted in?
Right.
You look for key themes and whatever.
Right.
And I was crushing that.
Right.
I could, like, back then it was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
Rococo. That's a
Yeah.
Rococo painting.
Yeah.
Baroque, flipping all of this
Yeah.
stuff. And then I missed an email that was like, oh, by the way, here's some study slides. So
killer.
I walk in to the midterm thinking we're going to get shown paintings
Yeah.
and go say the period.
Yeah.
I was prepped.
Yeah.
I was looking at all the painting slides, like all the lecture slides going like, oh yeah, I know what that's from. I know what that's from.
Yeah.
I can identify Dadaism. I can flip in all this stuff. Pull up to the lecture, whole section B. There's 10 paintings on a rotating slide. We don't even care, apparently, what period it was painted in. They want to know names of the painting, names of the artist, and year it was painted.
Oh, that's awful. Wait, what?
I'm locked out,
Yeah.
dude. I'm going.
Yeah, you got 0 out of 10.
I think I got Like,
oh, that sucks.
I think genuinely, I think it was, let me try and think of how many. I think it was probably 18 points. I think it was 6 paintings.
That stinks.
3 points for each if you can name title, artist, and year. And I'm going, to be fair, year is probably one I should have been a little close on.
Right.
Because the periods.
You do the period, yeah.
The periods were based off of years usually. But still, like, you're not getting. It's not. You don't get points for a range.
Yeah.
So if it's painted in 1867, and you go, well, the Rococo period was around 1865 or whatever. That's not correct.
Yeah, it doesn't count. Yeah.
And
that's brutal.
And I'm getting like, I remember like one of the paintings. I'm like, I remember that this title is in French, and I think it loosely translates to like the Island of Joy or something. So I write the Island of Joy.
Yeah.
I think she felt pity on me, gave me like a half mark, but like I was just like, I walked
that
out
would have
going
been
like,
so stressful.
What the hell?
What happened here?
Why'd you screw us like that? And then
You found the email.
afterwards, I'm talking to some people who took it, and they're like, yeah, honestly, like one of those I didn't even think was on the study slides, but I think it actually was. And I'm like,
what study slides?
Study slides? And they're like, their faces like,
Bro.
they thought I was joking.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, what are you talking about? And their faces like dropped, and they're like, dude, like they sent study slides. All of these paintings were on them, plus a couple extras to be like, they're not just going to give them to you. But
that stinks.
And I'm like, yeah, I failed that midterm.
Yeah, I would have as well.
I did okay on the other stuff, but I mean, it's a 3-part thing. Yeah. And like, that was a pretty big chunk. Oh. So I was just
I hate missing stuff like that. That happened to me at Masters where did you take homiletics?
Not yet.
No? Oh yeah, so in homiletics you have to like preach at the end, right?
Yeah.
And you preach to like a bunch of pastors. And anyways, in the syllabus for the class, it said that the topic of your sermon should be on love.
Okay.
And so I went, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And it turns out in a class that I missed, the professor changed it and said we're going to preach on like how to effectively, or like how we can have good faith during COVID or something. Okay. I don't know. He like changed it up, but he didn't make a course announcement, and he didn't change the syllabus.
That sucks.
So I wasn't at that class so I assume if you're gonna make a syllabus change, you're gonna either change the physical syllabus, or you're gonna make a course announcement that says, "Hey guys, just to let you know," so it's written in stone. Yeah. But he didn't do either. Which
arguably, you could probably
arguably kind of ridiculous. Yeah, but. Whatever.
Because the school views the syllabus as a contract.
Yes, exactly. So I'm like, you should have put this in the syllabus. And I remember I did fight back on it, and he ended up like pumping my mark up a little bit because I was like, I prepared what the syllabus said. Yeah. And so anyways, so I got to the day, and I preached first out of my whole group. And so I preached this whole thing, and the whole time like I'm looking at people on Zoom, and they're just kind of like what's going on? And I'm like, and I did this whole 25-minute thing on like 1 Corinthians 13 and all this stuff. And then my professor was like, okay, or it was my professor, it was like a pastor. They come in, and he was like, oh, like, thanks, good job, Ben. And then everyone gets up to preach, and as they all preach, I go, wait.
Oh no.
They're all preaching on the same topic. What happened here?
What did I miss?
Yeah, and like as 1, 2, 3 get up, I go, holy frick.
You feel like you're going crazy?
I start freaking out, and I'm like, wait, that's not what the syllabus says. I was like, did I miss something?
Yeah. You're like going back to the syllabus, checking.
And then my professor gave me like a 60, and I ended up reaching out to him being like, what happened? Because he's like, you preached on the wrong topic. And I'm like, I preached on what the syllabus said. And then he was like, yeah, I changed it on this class. And I was like, oh, I wasn't there for it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and so then I fought back because I was all pissed off, and he gave me like a 75. But it was one of the worst grades I got my entire time there. It was the worst day of my life because I was sitting there as people started preaching, and I was like, oh frick! Yeah. I was like,
second person goes, and you go,
yeah, what an idiot! Yeah.
This guy's messed up. Yeah. Like you're like, I could kind of see how that's about love, but like, all right. And then the third person goes, you're like, what?
Yeah.
Fourth person goes, you're like, no.
I messed this up, and I would have rather not gone first because I went first and I could see people as I'm preaching going like in the Zoom, and even like the person evaluating me was just kind of like.
Yeah, trying.
And I was like, am I off here? Like while I'm preaching, I'm like, did I misinterpret something? Like, why does everyone look so confused? Yeah. And I'm like, that's why they were confused, because they're like, why is this guy preaching on love? What's this about?
During the midterm, I was doing this thing where I'm like, I don't want to look like I'm cheating, because I don't want to look around the room, but I'm like heads down, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
Like, you guys are cool with this?
Yeah, everyone's
Like,
okay.
We're
Yeah.
walking in, and everyone's like, first painting comes up, and I'm like, okay. Or I'm looking at the midterm first, the paper, and I see like painting, like all the paintings, and then like empty spaces year, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah, they're not doing this.
like, and then we get to that part, and they start like rolling through the slides, and I'm like flipping to the next section
Yeah.
of the midterm to go like, where's the part on?
Yeah.
Where's the part on identifying the
that I studied for. Yeah.
and then I'm like, they said at the beginning too, like, these are gonna roll through, like, don't worry,
Yeah.
we're gonna give you a little bit more time. So I've already, the first like 2 have passed, and now it's on the third one, and everyone is just like,
Everyone
I hear all the
knows,
pencils
yeah.
going like,
They looked at those study slides.
and I'm just like,
I hate that's so disorienting, eh? Where you're like, what did I miss?
yeah, and I'm just like I'm trying to look to be like,
Yeah.
surely at least, like, first off, I'm like, sounds like a lot of people are writing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so then I'm trying to like find, like, kind of peek around to find other people in my tutorial.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, we all are getting screwed on this.
Yeah.
And then I'm like seeing it, and they're like, and I'm like,
Yeah. I'm like,
What?
How did this happen?
what did I
Yeah.
miss? I went to every tutorial, like, and I was just like freaking out.
I know exactly how you're feeling.
Yeah.
It was just a slow burn for
Yeah.
me,
Oh,
where
yeah.
I was just slowly
Yeah.
like, what the frick? What did I get wrong?
I don't.
here?
That's such an awful feeling.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate not knowing.
Yes, I hate feeling unprepared.
Because I'm not a disorganized
Yes.
person. I'm not unprepared.
Well, that's
usually.
the thing. Is
it's
not
very
like,
rare.
It's not like
Yeah.
I walked into that midterm going,
Yeah, whatever.
I didn't study.
Yeah, exactly.
I went
Yeah.
in going, oh, I studied.
I'm ready for this. Yeah.
I walked in going, I maybe could have studied a little bit more,
Yeah.
but like I studied what we did.
Yeah.
I had my tutorial notes. I guess we'll see.
yeah.
And then I go in going,
Yeah, what the hell happened here?
is
Exactly.
this like the right room number?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
what am I?
Exactly, and that was the same thing with me, where I was like, I put together this kick-ass sermon on love, and I was so excited about it, and then halfway through it, I'm like, why is it no one?
And what's even funnier about that too is like the way they do that is like they have pastors come in and evaluate, and they tell them,
Yeah, this is what they're going to be
preaching on.
about. Yeah.
So then the pastor's kind of like probably looking at you, just going like,
Yeah, when's he going to get to the COVID
I
thing?
guess, like, okay, like they're trying to have an open
Yeah.
mind, like.
Yeah, I'm like, what? The only thing that would have been worse is if he stopped me halfway through. If he like unmuted himself on Zoom and went, "Up, Ben, why are you preaching on love?" And I was like, "Isn't that's what it said?"
I mean, at least that maybe could have been a saving grace.
Yeah, maybe
like,
saved
it
me
would have
a
been
little bit.
awkward, but at least like you could have been like,
Dude, I spent like 5 minutes talking about like agape.
yeah, I knew you
Yeah,
would.
yeah,
I knew you would.
yeah. Of course, why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
And so all this time, people are like, "What does agape have to do with
Yeah.
this?"
We're talking about this specific Greek word for love, this specific
yes.
meaning of it, and
Yeah,
And then-
no one really knows.
and then everyone's just like, yeah, we're talking about like not that at all.
Yeah. Oh, I hated it. It was the worst day ever. Only thing worse was the day I had to present my project after the incident.
Yeah, well, that sucks.
That was the only thing worse
But at
during
least you
my
probably
time
got a
at Bible
decent grade
class. I
on
did
it.
get a good grade on it.
Like to present something under the information that you are aware
Yeah.
that it's on this topic.
Yeah.
And as you're doing it, to feel that sinking feeling of
Yeah.
like, people are kind of
Yeah,
looking at me
people look
weird.
confused.
And then
Yeah.
the next like 20, 30, 40 minutes of next people, you're just like, what have I done?
Yeah.
And then you also have to feel that again when the grade comes
Yeah.
back. Because then after the class or whatever, you're probably just like,
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. But
what
yeah.
am I going to get?
Yeah.
But please, like, don't let
Yeah.
that screw me. And then it
Yeah.
comes back and it's like, no, it did.
Yeah, it
did
freaks
screw
me
you.
over. Yeah, yeah.
And you're just like, no.
Yeah,
like, that's
what?
not-
Like I did what you asked in the syllabus. Yeah, Oh,
School's stressful.
I hated it. I hate it.
I genuinely agree with you. I do not. I really, actually, I will say this. I really like that I'm able to take one class at a time.
Yeah.
If I had to be 100% back full-time student, I would hate it.
It's tough. Like even last semester I had 4 classes, so
Yeah.
like one less than full time.
Yeah.
And they were online, all of them. So
Yeah.
it's like it wasn't that bad. This semester I've got 1 online, 4 in person. So
Yeah.
it's like way more time.
Yeah.
It's so much.
It's just, I like that I can think about this one topic with 100% of my brain power for limited amounts of time.
Yeah.
But as soon as it becomes like balancing, my brain is not good at that. And because it's new information, like my job, I'm constantly getting new information and I'm constantly balancing stuff. But I'm in a place where everything is so different. Like I think that's a huge plus for me. Because I can tell, like with some of the quiz questions I'm doing, like some of these students, like you're just getting inundated with so much information that's all like kind of similar. You know, like, okay, Hebrew prophets, and then you're talking about like, you know, something about like the Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Old Testament, all this stuff. Like, it's easy to get mixed up. For me, it's not, because this is the only time I'm thinking about this specific thing.
Just the one class.
And then I can turn this off. I'm not thinking about Hebrew prophets anymore. I'm going to do this part of my job, or I'm going to go tattooing and like whatever, or you know, like organize. Like I do have a lot on my plate in terms of time organization. But in terms, everything is so different.
It's easier when it's different. My big mistake that I did this semester was I took Anatomy 1, Regional Anatomy 1, and Regional Anatomy 2 at the same time. So now there's two different concepts. Like we're like the same body but different areas. So constantly in my brain I'm going, did I go over that in 1 or 2?
Oh no.
And it sucks.
That sucks.
I'm always did we learn this in 1 or did we learn this in 2?
When did we talk about the balls? Was the balls in 1 or is the balls in 2?
It was killer. I hated it. I hate it still. I'm still in it for 7 more weeks.
A couple more months.
Frick!
You'll get out of it soon.
Yeah.
Guys, if you're at home watching the Barely Cool podcast and you're in school, I'm sure you'll do great.
Yeah, good luck.
Stick it out.
It's midterm time, guys. Good luck. You should be honestly at the end of the first midterm.
Hopefully. I've got a little break.
Yeah, I've got
up.
You got reading break next week? Or the week after?
I actually have 2.
Masters is always weird.
I got 2 weeks off because my class is on Mondays. And so family day I get off and then reading week.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I get a 2-week
break.
Sweet.
I only get the 1 week break.
I have to write a paper in that, and I'm not looking forward to that. But
yeah, that's brutal.
It's gonna be rough, dude.
York put our reading week in the week of family day, which I feel
they always
feel so
do.
cheated.
They always do.
It so pisses me
York,
off.
that's a big York. That's a lot of university.
Yeah, I know.
move.
It flipping pisses me off.
Yeah.
It feels so. I feel so cheated.
Yeah. Give me my day.
Yeah, give me my day off. Like I want a full reading week. I don't want some holiday jumped into it.
Yeah, that does suck.
Shut the hell up with that. It's so stupid.
Anyways, guys, please continue watching the Barely Cool podcast. Share us to all of your friends. Send the YouTube videos around if you find us funny, because, gosh, wouldn't our lives be easier if this could be our job?
That would be easier. This wasn't a really funny one, though. We just talked.
That's fine.
Thanks for listening to the Barely Cool podcast.
It was relatable.
It was relatable.
I'm sure lots of people have felt what we felt. And we're all holding hands together in harmony and matrimony.
Thanks for listening to the Barely Cool podcast.
We're married.
See you later.
Bye.
I've been barely cool for a while, cool with a wink or a smile, but I'm cooler than you are with or without us. I've barely started, and this is really hard for me. Well, I'll stop myself if nobody else does.
Imagine if it's stuck. That'd be funny.
Shut this off.